Are you ever frustrated as a non-native speaker when you see all these job ads for native speakers only? Have you been turned down before simply because you're perceived to be a non-native speaker? Do you sometimes feel like you might perhaps never succeed and never get the jobs that you deserve to be getting as a really good English teacher? If that's the case, then watch the rest of this video because I'm going to share with you the process that I use time and time again to regularly get TEFL jobs as a non-native speaker. If you're new here, my name is Marek Kiczkowiak and I run TEFL Equity Advocates and Academy, where I help English teachers tackle native speakerism and teach English for global communication. And I also help non-native speakers like yourselves improve their job opportunities and start getting TEFL jobs in different countries. If you're enjoying this video, then consider hitting the like button and also that subscribe and bell button so you don't miss any of my future content. So the first thing that I've learned over the years that I think is really important is to understand that as a non-native speaker, you are a fantastic teacher, and don't let anyone ever convince you otherwise. Don't let anyone ever convince you that because you were not born in the UK or the US, you are a worse teacher. You have some fantastic advantages as a non-native speaker. One of them being the fact that you learned English yourself, and as a result you have all these strategies and tips that you can share with your students, and you are a fantastic language learning model for your students to imitate. So this is really important. Understand your own worth and be proud of it. Don't let anyone ever tell you otherwise. Now this leads me to my second point. Once you understand and you feel really confident about yourself as a non-native speaker teacher, you need to showcase it in the recruitment process. Now, sometimes you might feel that, well, you're not getting any jobs because you're a non-native speaker and the recruiter is discriminatory, maybe they prefer native speakers. And surely sometimes it's really the case. However, there are also many times where you might be applying for jobs, but you're just not doing it in the right way. And that's why you're getting turned down. It might have nothing to do with you being a non-native speaker. So what you need to learn, and that's what I've learned to do, is to showcase my own strengths as a non-native speaker in the recruitment process. In other words, you need to learn how to convince the recruiter that you're the right candidate. So for example, talk about the fact that having learned English, you can be a really excellent model for your students. After all your students are aspiring to speak English as well as you do, right? So who would be a better model for your students than yourself? You've probably also gone through very similar problems to what your students are going through, and I'm sure you've got excellent strategies to overcome those problems. Talk about these things on your CV, in your cover letter, when you go into the interview. Be prepared to talk about these things. Thing number 3, be prepared to respond to recruiters who might prefer native speakers initially, or who might make comments like, well, but I think native speakers would be better for teaching pronunciation. How do you respond to that? You need to have a response prepared and be able to convince them that actually you as a non-native speaker can be a great candidate. And below this video you can find a link to an email template that I have used successfully over the years to reply to job ads for native speakers only. So download this template as well if you want to be more successful in your recruitment process. Now, another thing that's really important as well is your CV and your application letter. You really need to make sure that your CV is absolutely top class. And I've got another video where I go into much more details about what you should do on your CV, and it's linked right below here. But one of the crucial tips about CVs and cover letters in general is that you've got to tailor them to the job ad in question. Don't just write a generic CV and a cover letter and send them to 10, 20 different job ads. If you do that, that's very likely why you're getting turned down all the time, because you haven't put the effort into changing your CV and your cover letter to suit the job ad in question. And this, guys, is really visible as a recruiter. Any recruiter will be able to see whether someone has spent some amount of time tailoring the CV and the cover letter, or they've just sent a generic one. It's really, really super easy to spot. And one last thing that I want to leave you with, but it's also super, super important, is to never, ever get discouraged. Never, ever. And I think this is really important because I often receive messages from non-native speakers asking me about tips for getting jobs. And very recently I was talking to somebody on LinkedIn who asked me about getting jobs in Belgium, where I currently teach. And she was saying that she hasn't been able to find any jobs as an English language teacher, and she felt really frustrated, and she felt she was being discriminated as a non-native speaker, and so on. And the first question I asked her was, has anyone replied to your CVs and cover letters? And she said that most people haven't. So my second question was, did you follow up? I mean, did you call them up? Did you send another email? And she simply said that she didn't, because she felt that that initial rejection, that was it, you know, that she wasn't getting the jobs because she was a non-native speaker, and because recruiters didn't reply, that means they didn't want to work with her. But that's completely the wrong attitude. I've got many jobs over the years where the initial application received no response at all. So I decided to follow up. I sent them an email, I gave them a call. If I was in the same city, I just popped into the school to say hello. And obviously you don't want to do it too much. You don't want to come across as you're a stalker, right? And you're a weirdo, you know, calling them up, sending them emails, going to school and all that stuff. But you do need to follow up. Maybe they're not responding because they're super busy. Maybe your email went into spam. Who knows? Or maybe they didn't respond because they felt that your initial application wasn't good enough. But maybe if you call them or you show up at school and you show your interest further, you can do this extra thing that will help you get invited to the interview and ultimately get the job as well. So in this video, I wanted to share with you the process that I go through whenever I apply for jobs myself as a non-native speaker. And I hope this has been helpful. If you want more tips how to get TEFL jobs as a non-native speaker, if you want to tackle native speakerism, learn how to teach English for global communication, then definitely join TEFL Equity Academy, and the link is right below this video.